Hello and welcome. Welcome again to the False Nine podcast. Today we have two guests, Prabuddha and Rishav, and we're missing Susajjan due to some personal reasons.
Unforeseen circumstances, and we would like our listeners to fully abuse him for this absence.
Mhm.
And today we're planning to preview the Champions League round of 16 and quarterfinal fixtures. And firstly, we'd like to apologize for our long absence because we were all committed to our own work. Plus, not there was a lot of football going on. So if we had to record a podcast, we had to cover up a lot of things. So we decided not to for a while, and now we're back with a Champions League preview. And I think first we should start with the most the most watched fixture, the biggest fixture, Real Madrid versus Manchester City. And we have a Real Madrid fan here. So the first thing I'd like to ask Prabuddha is, how confident are you for this fixture, and what are the odds now?
Um, I personally think we're going through, but that's like just my blind optimism. To be in all seriousness, it's going to be really tough. I think the odds are quite low for us to turn around the tie, especially given the circumstances, because we're 2-1 down and we're actually 2-1 down on away goals. So we'll need to score two without replies, and it's going to be really hard to stop City. But the biggest problem is we don't have Ramos, who was suspended because of a red card in the first leg, and without him, we're a completely different team, and our defensive solidity just isn't the same without his leadership at the back. And I think I think that's going to be even more damaging to us than the away goals that we conceded, actually.
Yeah, I agree with Prabuddha. Although I do not think that Madrid are going to turn around the tie. I think Ramos's absence is quite a big blow to Real Madrid's hopes of Champions League this season. Although I think Aguero is also going to miss the tie, I don't think that's going to be as much of a problem for Manchester City because their primary focus is not to score right now. Because even though they can hold Madrid for a draw or a single goal, they will go through. So yeah, I don't think Madrid are going to go to the quarterfinals.
And also, I'd like to add something on Ramos. He has been a really good passer of the ball this season. He has averaged almost 7 long balls per game, and he's only behind Banega and Cruz in successful long balls. On a positive note, Hazard is coming back for Real Madrid, who is a very good creator and a good dribbler who can take Kyle Walker 1v1. I think I hope Real Madrid get through.
I think
In terms,
to add to the Hazard point, if Hazard is fully fit, then our chances go up exponentially because he's Hazard and he's always going to have a major part to play in such games. But the problem is, some close sources to the club are reporting that he still has problems with his ankle. But but what's weird is that even that they're saying that he is feeling some pain, but he's taken part in every training session and he's been training with the group as well. So we don't have any solid news on whether he's fully fit enough to play the game or if he's only half fit to play the game or anything.
Another factor here is that, as Rishabh pointed out, City have an option to sit back, but I don't think City can or will sit back because Guardiola. I've never seen Guardiola sit back and allow the opponent to have so much space. I think once against Liverpool, except for once against Liverpool in that 0-0 draw, I've never seen City play so passively. So I think Guardiola will go all out in this tie too. And one factor Madrid can take advantage of is Guardiola is known to overthink in such high pressure fixtures, and he's known to overthink in such high pressure fixtures. And if Madrid can exploit exploit the bad decisions he makes in these ties, I think Madrid can exploit his deficiencies.
I think Real Madrid are more confident going into this game because they're the champions of La Liga and also they have the best defense in Europe. And also, Guardiola has some key decisions to make as whether to start Bernardo Silva or Riyad Mahrez in the right wing because I think Bernardo Silva is a little bit more defensively disciplined and I think he can defend against Hazard pretty well.
And another problem is that Guardiola has said openly that he's been tracking games. He's been like scouting games in which we've played with a front three of Hazard, Benzema, Asensio, or Vinicius and Asensio. And the problem with that is like he's gonna have a specific game plan set. Like Ishan said, he's gonna overthink for a specific opposition lineup. But the problem is under Zidane, there's no guarantee that that's gonna be the starting lineup because knowing Zidane, there's a very there's a pretty big chance that he's actually going to start five midfielders and only one attacker, or he's going to start with a diamond, or he can even start with a flat 4-4-2. So it's like if Guardiola does overthink and if he gets it wrong, then there's a pretty big chance that we can overturn the tie.
I was reading this article about Real Madrid's success with different types of formations, and the most successful one, even though Madrid played it for I think 3 games, it was a 4-2-3-1 with Hazard playing as the number 10. Behind Benzema, and Vinicius and I think Asensio or Rodrigo playing in the right wing and Vinicius in the left wing. I think Madrid played that against Sevilla and won. And I don't remember the other 2 games, but Madrid has a 100% record playing that formation. Plus, it looks pretty promising, knowing Hazard will get that creative freedom in the middle behind Benzema, and he doesn't have to concentrate himself into one wing, although he's very good at doing that. But giving Hazard that sort of freedom can be useful to exploit the space Man City leave behind.
And another possible.
I think we should move on to. Okay.
Another possible benefit from playing that lineup is that Zidane doesn't have to choose between Hazard or Vinicius. He can like play them both. And Vinicius, even though he's just 20 and he's been playing in Europe for just 2 years. The problem is. The thing is, he's already a proven big game player, and even in the first leg, it was him who created the goal for Isco. He's gonna have that cutting edge that could really destabilize the City defense. And if Zidane can find a way to fit both Hazard and Vinicius in, then it's gonna increase our chances quite substantially.
Before we go to the next one, my internet is quite very unstable today, so if my video is broken or my audio is broken, I apologize in advance because it's really bad today. Okay, so let's move on to the next fixture. The next fixture in the round of 16 that is left is Lyon versus Juventus, and Lyon have a 1-0 lead in their home game. Now it's in the Allianz Arena in Turin. So what do you guys think about this game?
I think, given this fact that Lyon have not played a match of football since a very long time because Ligue 1 was cancelled pretty early on, I think even though Lyon have a 1-goal lead in the tie, I think Juventus are going to turn around the tie. Even though Juventus have been on a string of losses since they won Serie A, but I think that's purely because of the fact that they won the title early, and I think it's due to the hangover of the title-winning campaign. But I think Juventus have overall a much better squad than Lyon, and I think they are much more capable of overturning the tie. Plus, we have to consider Cristiano Ronaldo's form as of recent because he's been on fire since the lockdown, and I think Juventus are going to turn around the tie.
I think Juventus have been a bit underwhelming this season because they've won the league by 1 point, but they have conceded 43 goals. And I read somewhere that this is only the second time that a team which has conceded more than 40 goals has went on to win the Serie A.
It's
and also I think
36 or something.
Yeah, And Dybala is, I think he was injured in the penultimate game of the season, and he has been the best player for Juventus this season. He knows how to unlock defenses, and he's been the first goal scorer in many occasions. So I think I don't think Juventus are as fluid in attack as they used to be.
I think
And
the weakness Leon can exploit in this Juventus team is that they don't have great fullbacks. Alexandro is okay, but their main weakness is in the right back spot, where they're playing a makeshift right back Guardado, or they're playing Danilo. Both of them are not that good options there. And also Juventus, the problem with Juventus this season has been their midfield, because Sarri hasn't been able to nail down a proper midfield 3 or midfield 4, considering he's opted for 4-4-2 diamond a lot of time. But I think one thing Sarri has done this season is he has turned Dybala's season into a very successful one, and I think that's a credit to him, because I read in an article that he was the one who told Dybala to stay more forward rather than dropping, because Dybala has that tendency to drop deep to link up play. But Sarri told him to stick forward and stay close to goal. So that's why Dybala's end product this season has increased a lot this season. So I think that's a credit to Sarri. But overall, Lyon can exploit Juventus's weaknesses. But as Rishabh said, their depth can. I think the depth Juventus have will be heavy on Lyon.
And other problem with Juve is that they're just bereft of any creativity, because like Dybala is a really good creator, but after him there's not like any proper creator who can supply Ronaldo regularly. Like the fullbacks are okay-ish, and Bernardeschi, if he plays, he's also like an average level creator. The midfield, like Bentancur has been good this season, but he's not a creative midfielder. And if they play Matuidi, he's not going to create anything at all. And Pjanic has been in a steady decline for the last 2 or so years, and his deep creation is like it's it's fallen off a cliff. And like the main way they create is like they spam crosses into the box, and then they just hope Ronaldo gets on the end of something, or they hope that Dybala can beat a player, or he can pick a pass in the final third. But there's no like set pattern on how they create chances. And if Leon can maintain their shape, like they can genuinely aim for a draw. And if they can negate the supply line to Ronaldo from the wings, then they can very easily get the win if they're not rusty.
Another positive for Juve is that Lyon haven't been playing football regularly since the lockdown. They lost to PSG on penalties, but they played really well. I think Memphis Depay is back from injury. Or Trossard and Guimaraes has been a really good signing for Lyon. I think they have a fair chance of qualifying.
Dembele, they have a
Moussa Dembele too.
Moussa Dembele is in great form.
And but the decisive factor will again, I think, in my opinion, it'll be Ronaldo
Yeah,
again.
Cristiano.
Yeah, and he's been in exceptional form in 2020. I think he scored like 20 goals in 15 games or something this year, and he always turns it up on the Champions League nights. So if he's on form, then there's not much Leon will be able to do.
Yeah,
Cute.
I think we should. Sorry for my internet again. I think we should move on to another fixture. That is uh, the next fixture. The next fixture is Napoli versus Barca, and this fixture they both played out a draw, 1-1 draw in Naples, and now the second leg will be played in Camp Nou. So, Rishabh, how's the mood around Barca's camp?
To be honest, I'm really scared about this fixture because I think this is the fixture that has the highest chance of being an offset, the offsets that you have in the Champions League every season. But I think a very big setback for Napoli is that Insigne is probably going to miss this fixture. And also, I think Costas Manolas is also out of the fixture, which means that it will obviously hamper Napoli's defensive chances. But mainly, what I noticed in the first leg was that Napoli used to attack, and they used to create more chances from counter attacks. And since Insigne is not most probably not going to play the fixture, I think that is going to be a major blow for them, because Insigne or Callejon usually the connection of these two used to start the counters. And setback for Barca is that I think we do not have Busquets, Vidal, or I think it was Umtiti as well. Yeah. So we don't have a lot of players in the defensive side of the pitch. And Busquets was really instrumental in the first game, because Busquets has been very good this season, and he has this quality of avoiding the press that Napoli applies to Barcelona. But I think that this season's breakthrough player, Ricky Puig, I think he's going to add some sort of depth or flavor into the midfield of Barca. But to be honest, I'm very skeptical about this game, because neither have Barca played very exceptionally since the lockdown started. So I think it could be anything. I don't even have anything on mind about this game today.
I think one major factor in every Champions League game is that if a team really wants to win, their psychology for the game should be extremely confident. But I don't think Barca have that psychology right now, because a lot of not only because they lost the La Liga title to Real Madrid, and that post-match interview from Messi, which was, I think, very divisive in a locker room. But I think the main thing is that in Barca, there are a lot of players who've been told that they will get sold in the years to come. And then if you're told that you're being sold, then I don't think you can generate that amount of passion to play for that club again. I'm talking about players like Rakitic and players like Semedo, who were told that they were going to get sold this season or the next, and even Arthur, who actually got sold.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty major problem, because once you're told that the club doesn't want you to play, you can't create that passion inside you to play for that club. So that I think is a major factor for Barca's downfall this season, over not only for this tie, but overall in the season. So I think that will play a major role, because for a Champions League tie especially, you need your players to be 100% psychologically conditioned, because without that, I think Barca more than any club know what can happen if your players aren't psychologically conditioned to handle pressure. So I think that factor will also play a major role in this game.
And to add to the point about psychology, like it's clear that Barcelona have this big vacuum of leaders on the pitch. Like PK, he loves to talk a lot off the pitch, but on the pitch, he's never been a proper leader. And everybody knows Messi, that he's the kind of guy to lead by example. But when things are going tough, he's not the kind of captain to really rally his teammates and get them going for a game. So like if Barcelona can start off well, if they get off on some good sequences in the early stage of the game, then maybe like their individual brilliance, like the talent of players such as Messi, Griezmann, Suarez, and Frenkie de Jong, that can lead them through. But if Napoli manage to stifle them from early on, and if the Napoli's pressing game really hits them hard, then goal, then even just a single goal before halftime could see Barcelona crumble. And then, like Rishabh said, this could be the big upset tie of this round.
Yeah, I actually think that if Napoli score the first goal, whether it be in the first minute or at any time, I think Napoli are actually going to get the win, because I've seen Barca's games this season, and usually I think one good thing about Valverde was that we usually used to answer back after conceding, but under Setien, I think we just play too much possession football without any verticality, even after being on the back seat, even after conceding goals. So I don't think that we will progress if Napoli score the first goal. I think it totally depends on who scores the first goal for this fixture.
I think Napoli are clearly the better side here, because although they played a 4-5-1 mid-block versus Barca in the first leg, I did some research today and found out that on the other side, they are the team that averaged the most possession in Serie A and the most accurate passes. And also, the decision to sell Arthur to Juventus is, I think, one of the worst decisions this board has made in a while, because he clearly made some difference when he came on for Rakitic in the first leg. So I think Napoli have a really good chance of progressing.
Yeah, but
Plus,
another
we're
thing,
I have a question actually. What do you guys think will be the starting midfield lineup for Barcelona? Because there's no Busquets, there's no Vidal.
I think
Puig,
there
De
be
Jong,
Puig, De Jong, and Rakitic. I think
yeah,
so.
Why
I
is
think
Busquets not playing? He's suspended.
Busquets is suspended.
Yeah,
Busquets
Busquets is
is
suspended.
suspended for this game, and
and
Vidal is also
Vidal got a red
suspended.
card. Vidal
and
got a
like
very
Napoli could potentially start off with a midfield of Alan, uh, Fabian
I
Ruiz,
think
and
I think
Napoli are
Diego Deme will
playing
start.
still playing a 4-4-2.
4-4-2.
So I think
So they could
Alan and Fabian
Fabian
Ruiz,
Ruiz.
or I think Alan and Fabian Ruiz will start. And
yeah.
the thing I was about to say was, we're talking a lot less about Napoli's players because they have a lot of quality players there. I think Lorenzo has been one of the breakthrough right backs in the Serie A this season, and also the midfield of Fabian Ruiz has been, I think, one of the best, if not the best midfielder in the Serie A this season. And I think one factor they're gonna miss is that Arkadiusz Milik is about to leave, so I think he could have played a big factor in that game. But Mertens and Insigne, or Mertens and Irving Lozano, they have that option too. I think Irving Lozano's pace can be hurt a lot, hurt Barca's defense a lot, because he's really quick on the ball. Plus, he has a very strong right foot. So I think that can really hurt Barca if Napoli try to exploit it. Plus, I think with intelligent players like Callejon and Peter Zielinski, I think Napoli have a really strong squad, and we can't just like rule out Napoli from this tie at all, because after Gattuso came, they've become a different side totally. Under Ancelotti, they had a strong team, but they were not being that effective. Plus, the disputes with the board was causing a lot of effect on the team. But after Gattuso has arrived, he's energized the team totally. And even with the foundation of that 4-4-2 from Ancelotti, he's playing a much quicker, a more attractive brand of football, which is becoming really effective for Napoli. So I don't think we should rule them out
Yeah.
for this tie.
But I think there are a few points of optimism about Barca as well, because after the lockdown, a few players have been really good for the club, such as Rakitic, Semedo, and Ansu Fati, and Ricky Puig especially. And what I noticed in La Liga was that Setien, when Ricky Puig, in the games that Ricky Puig started, we really had a very solid first half due to his presence. But usually Setien would sub him out for, I think, Vidal or Rakitic in the second half, and we would drastically, our quality on the pitch would drop. But for this tie, I think the absence of Arturo Vidal, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because Arturo Vidal is someone that cannot resist press at all, and I think he has been disastrous this season. So I think starting a midfield of De Jong, Puig, and Rakitic is, I think, quite good for Barca. And I think Semedo's form is essential to stop the pacey wingers of Napoli. And I think he's been very solid in the defensive side of things as well as attacking. He's improved a lot, and I think that those are a few points of optimism for Barca. But I think this game is really on the edge. We can't really predict it.
Okay, should we move on to the next game then?
Yeah,
the next
yeah.
game is, I think, pretty much done. If anyone wants to talk about it, you can. But it's Chelsea versus Bayern. Bayern have a 3-0 lead, and the next game is in the Allianz Arena. And I don't know, Alphonso Davies and Lewandowski destroyed Chelsea, and without Pulisic, without Azpilicueta, Chelsea, I don't think Chelsea have a chance. So
Even with them,
yeah.
I don't think they'd have scored 4
Yeah.
without the live.
Yeah.
Only over
Bayern,
Nap's limitation now.
Bayern have been, I think, the highest scoring team this season across Europe. So yeah, they've scored 100 in the league only. I think
it's Man City. Man City have scored 102.
Yeah, Man City are the highest, and then
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it's Madrid. I think it's Real Madrid.
Man City, Bayern, and then Atlanta.
Yeah,
Atlanta have
Atlanta
98.
have 98. Yeah, 98. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we should move on from this fixture. We'll talk about Bayern later, but let's move on now. I think the round of 16 ties are over. So the next group of ties that are already sorted are Leipzig versus Atletico Madrid and Atlanta versus PSG. So let's start with Leipzig and Atletico Madrid.
I think for me, this tie, I think Atletico are going to progress simply due to the fact that Timo Werner was sold during the lockdown to Chelsea, and this makes him this does not allow him to play in the Champions League. And I think Atletico had a fairly decent performance after the restart to La Liga, and I think Werner's absence is going to be a very big blow for RB Leipzig, and I think they're going to play Patrick Schick on attack. But I think Atletico, they have a much better team given the situation. They have been playing some good attacking football as well, and we know that they are really good on the defensive side of things. Therefore, I think that Atletico are going to take the win for this time.
I think from the last time we talked about Atletico in our La Liga preview, and the main issue we raised was that their finishing was bad. But one major tactical change Simeone has done post lockdown is he's played Llorente as a second striker. So after that change, Atletico have scored at least two every game. I think at least two every single game, if I'm not wrong. But and then their finishing has improved drastically. Morata has scored more goals, and Llorente, that change of Llorente as a second striker has been a phenomenal tactical switch from Simeone. And another major tactical switch, I think, which we talked about in our previous podcast too, was that the midfield duo of Thomas Partey and Saul was not creating a lot of chances compared to a midfield partnership of Saul and Koke. And post lockdown, I've been noticing one thing is that they've been playing a lot of midfield partnership of Saul and Koke. So that has allowed them to be even more creative from midfield. And plus the addition of Llorente as a second striker has really changed their fortunes. So I think, yeah.
I think
Atleti have gone 11 games unbeaten after football resumed, and they've kept six clean. They've only conceded 6 goals, while Leipzig have been a little shaky since football began. They have only kept 2 clean sheets, and they've won 4, drawn 4, and lost 1. And the absence of Timo Werner means I don't think they have a natural winger, a really good natural winger to fill in that left wing role. I think they have Lookman and Wang, but I don't think they're tried and tested at that level. So I think, to add to what Ishan said, Atleti have been really proactive since football resumed. They have even tried 4-2-3-1 on one occasion. It seems. I think they'll get through.
yeah, there's like adding on what I said, there's a clear tactical problem for Leipzig because like to beat Atleti, like one of the best ways to do that is to attack via the wings and then aim for a big
Yeah.
target man. Like whenever Real Madrid beat Atleti in previous years, the main way was to attack via the wings and aim for Ronaldo in the box. But the problem is that all the Patrick Schick, if he plays, he can present himself as a proper target man. Even the problem is that Leipzig don't have the wingers or even the offensive fullbacks of that quality to pose a real threat out wide. So if Atleti defend narrow like they do and Leipzig aim to attack narrow, then it's going to play right into Atleti's hands, and it's a single leg. So just one good counter attack from Atletico Madrid could end the tie.
I think even if Leipzig have that quality of players, they don't have it up to match Atletico's defensive level. Because if you're talking about target men, Yusuf Paulsen can play that role, and
Yeah.
he's been playing that role this season with his back in goal. He's been responsible for a lot of layoffs to wingers like Nkunku and Werner this season. But again, with the absence of Werner, I don't know why he decided to go to Chelsea right now, because he had an option to play for Leipzig and join next season, but he decided to prematurely go to Chelsea this season. I don't know why he did that. That caused a lot of that I think affected a lot for Leipzig. And another thing is, even if they do have runners and they play a 3-4-3, the quality of Atletico's defense is just too good
Yeah.
for their players to break down. So I think if they start with a narrow 4-4-2, the way they play, sometimes the 4-2-2-2, they can maybe overwhelm Atletico's midfield. But again, due to the narrow shape, it's really hard to find space in that Atletico midfield. So I don't see, it will be surprising to see Leipzig winning this tie.
Yeah.
And another factor that comes into play is managerial experience, because as good as Nagelsmann is right now, I don't think he's at the level of Simeone. And
Yeah.
even if he's gotten his team playing at a better level, the problem is at this stage of the Champions League, experience does play a part. And then there are very few managers in world football who are as experienced at the latter halves of the Champions League as Simeone is.
On a side note, Rafael Honigstein from the Athletic is doing an interview with Nagelsmann this week. So anyone interested can go on to the athletic.com and read the article. It's free for 30 days, a trial. You can get a trial period.
Yeah, I also recommend getting an athletic subscription for anyone who's interested in football. And also shout out to Adhyatma who gifted me that subscription. Uh, let's jump to the other fixture, that is Atlanta versus Paris and PSG. And what do you guys think about this fixture?
I think we should just do, like, before we analyze, an early prediction from what we expect from the tie.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I think we can do that
On the last.
since we've already completed a lot of ties. We can do that in the end.
Yeah. You can just run through.
Yeah, so the next tie is Atlanta versus PSG. So what are your thoughts on this tie?
The talking point is going to be the players who are gonna miss out rather than the players who are playing. And for PSG, I think it's confirmed that Mbappe and Di Maria both are missing the tie. And I don't think it's, I'm not sure if it's 100%, but for Atlanta, I think Ilicic is gonna miss out on the tie as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ilicic is on a compassionate leave and he's off to Slovenia. And with Di Maria and Mbappe missing, I think Icardi has been a really good player in the Champions League. He has scored 9 goals in 12 games in his career. And I think this is PSG's best chance to win the Champions League because it's a one-off. Every game is a one-off, and I think this is their best chance. And talking about Atlanta, I read somewhere that the city where Atlanta is based on, Bergamo, it was one of the worst hit cities in the world by the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they literally have nothing to lose. And CL qualification for the next season is already secured, and they've literally got nothing to lose. So I think it's going to be a lose and fast game.
Yeah, but I don't think that we can write off Atlanta because Atlanta still consists of very capable group of players, as we've seen, like Alejandro Gomez, Mario Pasalic, Duvan Zapata, and many other players. And I think, given the recent history, I think PSG, since we talked a lot about psychology in the previous segment, I think that psychology might hit PSG too hard as well because they don't really have the psychology to in the later stages of the Champions League. So I think that since this game is a one-legged tie, I think that this game also hangs on the balance, and I think that we cannot write off Atlanta so easily. And since they've scored, I think like 98 goals this season, even though I don't know if Ilicic is going to be present in the game or not, I think Atlanta are going to give a very strong fight to PSG, and I think it's on the edge as well.
And I think like the fact that Di Maria and Mbappe are missing out is gonna create a lot of tactical problems for PSG because like Atlanta are known to play very aggressive. They play very fast, they play very direct, and the problem with that is usually you'd expect the PSG midfield to consist of Verratti, Di Maria, and either Gay or Marquinhos, but without Di Maria playing, it's gonna be Verratti, Gay, and Marquinhos probably. And the problem with that is they're Gay and Marquinhos, they're just not press resistant at all. They're not like good midfielders with the ball at their feet. And Verratti is one of the best midfielders in the world at beating a press, but him alone, he's going to be isolated in that midfield there when they're in possession. And Atlanta can just target Marquinhos and or Gay, and they can just aim on getting as many turnovers as they can, and they can attack fast. And but on the other hand, another problem, a tactical problem for Atlanta is that because of the way they play, they always aim to get like a three versus three situation when they're defending with the three center backs and the opposition three full attackers. And the problem with that is if there's one player in world football that you don't want in a 1v1 situation, it's Neymar. So they'll need at least two players to constantly keep an eye on Neymar, and that's going to leave them short-handed at the back. So there's like interesting tactical battles all around the pitch, and it just, I think the tie is really going to come down to which players put in the better performance on the night.
Yeah, as Prabuddha mentioned, the since Atlanta play back three, I think post lockdown, I've seen a lot of games of Atlanta, and one thing I've noticed is Caldara. He's been exposed a lot of time 1v1. He struggled with a lot of wingers. Struggled against pace this post lockdown. So I think that is one place. PSG can exploit, and I think Atlanta won't miss Illich that much, because even though he was a major, he had a major role to play in the two ties versus Valencia. I think the post lockdown they've mostly started in a 3-4-1-2 with Pasalic as the number 10 and Alejandro Gomez and Zapata as the two front two, even though Alejandro Gomez will drop deep, and there will be almost like two number 10s in that position. So that is one thing about Atlanta. And another thing is they've been really explosive in front of goal, and PSG is not known for their defensive qualities. So I think they can exploit a lot from of the PSG backline. And plus, one unique thing about Atlanta is normally the teams that are known to be great, they like to control the midfield, but Atlanta like to control the half spaces and the wing. So that's a really unique style of play that Atlanta have. So I think that will be an interesting tactical battle between two very tactically the two Thomas Tuchel and Gian Piero Gasperini. They're both known for their tactics. So I think this will be a really interesting battle between the two of them.
And
Yeah.
and like
By the way,
and like Ishan, I said, like Atlanta always have a very big presence on the wings and in the half space. And one like massive problem that can pose is that PSG's fullbacks are they're genuinely bad. They're not even like decent quality for a team of PSG stature. Like Monier, I don't know
I think
what
that's
he's
also
good at, and will Monier play? I'm actually not sure because
no. I think he went to Dortmund.
yeah, he signed to
because
Dortmund. But regardless,
not-
their fullbacks just aren't up to scratch. And if they allow Atlanta to play like they do play usually, then look, they can hurt PSG really badly from the wings.
So
By the way,
uh,
there's just news that Dembele is actually available for the game against Napoli. So if things get a bit complicated, then he will actually get some minutes. So I think that's optimistic at least for me. Okay, let's move on.
I think we're done with the fixtures that were declared in the draw that happened a month ago. So the other thing about this draw was that the next line of fixtures were also decided. So it looks like the Juventus, if they win against Lyon, will face against Real Madrid or City, and Barca, if they win against Napoli, will face Bayern, who are I think almost sure to qualify. So I think these two will be really the two really great fixtures if the results go their way. And I think we should do our predictions for the ties. So for the City versus Real Madrid tie, what do you guys think?
I can't predict.
Let's
Yeah.
start with
I can predict the score, but in my opinion, we're going through. We're gonna beat City and we're gonna qualify.
Real qualify.
I also think Real should qualify. We can't let
City.
City get through.
City qualifying. Guardiola.
Okay, so the next one, Juve Leon.
Juventus.
Leon.
I also think Leon have the better shot at qualifying.
And for the next tie, Juve versus Leon, what do you guys think?
Juventus for me.
I think Leon have the better shot at qualifying.
I think Leon will qualify.
I think Juve's depth will help them through for this game. And for the other game, Napoli versus Barca.
Barca.
I
And
think
90
Barca
yeah,
will get through.
Yeah, I also think Barca will get through.
I think it's going to be a 90th minute free kick from Messi and we go through.
Yeah, simply because they've got Messi.
Yeah.
I think Napoli have a great shot at this tie, so I'm going with Napoli. And Chelsea Bayern, I don't need
Chelsea.
to mention
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek, better
Poverty.
MCM than
Ruben
CM.
Loftus-Cheek. Ruben Loftus-Cheek will get into every other midfield except Chelsea's.
Shout out to Big Sam, Obisek, Sasheshta.
And Atlanta versus PSG.
Atlanta for me.
Yeah, I'm
I
rooting
think
for
Atlanta will qualify.
Yeah.
PSG.
And for Leipzig versus Atletico.
Atletico.
Atleti.
Yeah, Atletico. And I'll ask you, what this is a one-word answer. Who's gonna win the Champions League this season? Bayern.
Bayern.
Real Madrid.
Rishav.
But I was going to say Barcelona, but I thought it for a while.
Will Bayern and
The pain is
Atleti before the
expressed
final?
from the silence.
Bayern and?
Yeah, Bayern
Bayern and
City, yeah.
Atleti will they meet before the final?
No.
If
No,
I
both of them
think.
qualify.
Oh no! Wait.
Whoever wins in PSG, Atlanta will face Leipzig Athletic.
Will face.
Yeah.
I think it will be. I hope it is
So-
an Atleti Bayern final.
I think it's
Yeah,
gonna be,
even I think Atletico. Yeah.
I think it's gonna be
Even
Real
I
Atletico
think
5-3.
Atletico. Yeah.
I don't think, yeah. I think it's going to be, I don't know. I think Bayern's going to win. I don't know.
I want Real to beat City to the final. I think.
I obviously want, yeah, Barca.
Yeah.
If-
My rooting for Real is
Dembele
because
hat-trick
of
in
a
the
vested interest to knock City out of this competition, which they don't like themselves. So I think with this we need to end our podcast, and I think our podcast today has been pretty rough and a little bit rough around the edges, and I think that's because we did this after such a long time, and plus our internet was as usual. Shout out to Vinet, hashtag kill
Plus we-
Vinet, and
We don't have our smooth operator today, aka Mr.
Yeah.
Susajjan Banner.
yes.
Susan
Yeah.
Romana, who predicted Liverpool would beat
yeah.
Atleti.
We give license to all our listeners to abuse him as much as you can. And with this, I think we should stop the podcast. Thank you, Prabuddha and Rishav, for joining us. And
Yet again.
Yeah, this
To
is
see you
Ishan.
again. This is Ojash.
This is
And-
Prabuddha.
Thank you for listening. This podcast right now has not been produced by Sharecast Initiative, but I hope it will soon again, because I don't know for how long we're going to stick to this, but I hope we get to meet our Binazu again. We miss you, Binazo. Okay,
Thank you.
goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you, everyone.